Our birth is but a sleep and a forgetting. The soul that rises with us, our life's star hath had elsewhere its setting. Cometh from afar. Not in entire forgetfulness, and not in utter nakedness, but trailing clouds of glory do we come from God, who is our home. Heaven lies about us in our infancy. This morning, we all saw that the heavens wept a little bit, and I think that was fitting, and I extend Lauren and Daniel's gratitude for you to be here. So many for so little a body. Lest you think that why are we doing this for a child that didn't even draw breath? Lauren was this age when Lauren was born. This baby was 6 weeks early, and Lauren was 6 weeks early when she was born. She survived. So we celebrate the life, dare I say, of this dear little child who many of us got to see and hold and heft and cuddle. A beautiful little baby who Lauren knows fully well moved within her and lived. I'd like to share 3 very brief anecdotes, if I may. One is of Lauren's great-grandmother. When my father passed away when I was just 15 in the early 1970s. And then about 10 years later, my mother's father passed away, and within a year's time, my mother's mother passed away. But a night or so before my grandmother passed away, Lauren's great-grandmother, my mother went to visit her. My grandmother was blind at this time, and she was not particularly lucid always, but at this moment she was. When my mother walked in the room, my grandmother said, "Who's there?" And my mother said, "It's Betty." And she said, "Oh, Betty, you just missed him." And she said, "Who did I miss, Mom?" And she said, "Mitchell, my father, who had passed away 10 years earlier." She said, "Mitchell was here all night with me. He was here with Daddy." My grandfather, who had passed away just a year or so earlier. They were preparing. Mitchell was teaching Daddy how to take him home. He held my hand all through the night. And she said this. She said there was with them a handsome young man that I didn't recognize at first. And it was a little baby, a little grandchild in his eyes, but he was just about 1 year old with meningitis. But he was there. And he was actually grown spirit. That's why she didn't recognize him. And then Grandma added, they were all so good looking. So that tells us that these spirits live, and they even though we have the hope that Lauren and Daniel will be able to raise this child at some point, that his little spirit is fully mature, and it's up there with great-grandparents and great-great-grandparents. They're taking care of it. Another little short story is that 8 years ago today, our family, Mary Jo's family and mine, were in the temple for a daughter's wedding and for Emily's healing to us. And that was the first moment as those kids walked into the sealing room. The very first moment that our family had ever been all together. And Mary Jo and I were thinking just this morning that was the last time we've all been together too. But the whole session was delayed by about an hour. And we didn't find out until later why. And it was because our twins, who are now these tall, handsome young men over here, when they were just 7 years old, little teeny guys, they didn't have a recommend to get into the temple. We were told they didn't need a recommend. They were under the age of 8. They didn't need a recommend. So the temple was not going to let them in for the sealing. Well, Lauren and her sister Elisa, who's just a little bit older, were down there doing battle at the door of the temple, with the temple workers, saying, "We will not go up there without our little brothers. We are a family, and we always will be a family, and we will not go up there without our little brothers." So somehow I think that is fitting, that this little brother here is a part of this family, part of this valiant family. And finally, this is just more recent, the day that we found out that little Alex had not survived. It was a very sad and touching day for our family, as I'm sure it was for all family members. And that night, a baby shower had been planned. And Mary Jo, after we had the baby shower canceled, Mary Jo went, and Mary Jo being a nurse, she went to basically assist and be with Lauren as the process would unfold. And Lauren and Daniel decided to do something extraordinary. He said, "Let's have a baby shower anyway." They took the gifts, they took some clothes, they went through some baby clothes that they had purchased, and they said, "We will give these clothes to a dear friend who has a baby." And that seemed to me touching and very poignant. The idea that if Lauren and Daniel continue to serve, that will help them to weather this. I want to share just my second favorite poem with you, if I may, about a child's life and death. It's by William Wordsworth. And again, The Heavens Weep. A simple child that lightly draws his breath and feels its life in every limb. What should it know of death? I met a little cottage girl. She was 8 years old, she said. Her hair was thick, with many a curl that clustered around her head. She had a rustic woodland air, and she was wildly clad. Her eyes were fair and very fair. Her beauty made her glad. "Sisters and brothers, little maid, how many may you be?" "How many?" "7 in all," she said, and wondering, looked at me. "And where are they, I pray you tell?" She answered, "7 are we, and 2 of us at Conway dwell, and 2 are gone to sea. 2 of us in the churchyard lie, my sister and my brother. And in the churchyard cottage I dwell near them with my mother. You say that 2 at Conway dwell, and 2 are gone to sea. Yet ye are 7, I pray you tell." "7," sweet maid, "how this may be?" Then did little maid reply, "7 boys and girls are we. 2 of us in the churchyard lie, beneath the churchyard tree. You run about, my little maid, your limbs they are alive. If 2 are in the churchyard laid, then we are only 5. Their graves are green, they may be seen," the little maid replied. 12 steps or more from my mother's door, and they are side by side. My stockings there I often knit, my kerchief there I hem, and there upon the ground I sit and sing a song to you. And often after the sunset, sir, when it is light and fair, I take my little porringer and eat my supper there. The first that died was Sister Jane. In bed she moaning lay, till God released her of her pain, and then she went away. So in the churchyard she was laid, and when the grass was dry, together round her grave we played, my brother John and I. And when the ground was white with snow, and I could run and slide, my brother John was forced to go, and he lies by her side. "How many are you then?" said I. "If they 2 are in heaven." Quick was the little maid's reply, "Oh, master, we are 7. But they are dead. Those 2 are dead. Their spirits are in heaven." 'Twas throwing words away, for still the little maid would have her will, and said, "Nay, we are 7. That's my second favorite poem about a child's death. My favorite poem is this, by poet Bill Nye. It said, "The only response to a child's grave is to lie before it and play dead." I hope that Lauren and Daniel will take many occasions to come out here and lie by this little grave and play dead as though a little child we're playing with. I have a testimony of Joshua, and I have a testimony of the immortality, the eternal life of our spirits and our souls. And pleased that Barney and Daniel are part of our family, and we are a part of theirs, and this child will be as well. As I say in Jesus' name, amen.